What's up? This is Dan from bodybuilderinthailand.com, coming to you from Bangkok, Thailand, where it's raining, to talk to you about my experiences with testosterone suspension. So, I had never used testosterone suspension because I had always heard that you needed to use a really large needle to put it in, and because it's basically, it's in water, right? What is testosterone suspension? Testosterone suspension is just pure testosterone in water, the actual molecule testosterone placed into water. And so when you put it into you, it is just it's all instantly active. It's not like a testosterone enanthate or propionate, where it has an ester that your body has to remove from the hormone gradually in order to make it active in your body. So instead of like having a gradual level rise, it's like as soon as those crystalline form hormone hits your bloodstream, the levels are up. That's it. So, for example, if you had 100 milligrams of it, you'd be on that 100 milligrams for 1 hour later. You would have that 100 milligrams in your bloodstream straight up. So it's very interesting, because you wonder, like, what is testosterone? What would testosterone make me feel like? Like, what is this basic molecule? You have these different anabolic steroids that you think about, what are the different effects of them, right? But what is the exact effect of, the biological hormone, the testosterone hormone, just putting that pure unadulterated molecule into your body? And that's what testosterone suspension is. And it's a really interesting compound. So I'm going to tell you about my experience with it. One of the things that people do is use it for powerlifting. It didn't really make me stronger, I wouldn't say, but it definitely, it made me want to I had more energy to just keep going, at a moderate intensity, to just keep going, rather than kind of teetering out or something like that. It definitely kept me alert and on my game, and that was basically the main thing that I would say is alertness. I experimented with 50 milligrams and 100 milligrams, and I'm going to talk about 100 milligrams. 50 milligrams is milder and probably better, just because it's milder, but 100 milligrams, I could describe to you the effects much more clearly. So this is 100 milligrams now. So about 45 minutes to an hour after administration, develop a tremor in my body, which is a bit of a shake, which is androgenic stimulation to the nervous system. And I've always kind of had that ever since I started using testosterone in general. So that's something I'm susceptible to in general. But this really triggers it. I definitely have a very fine, minute, consistent shaking or tremor going on. In my limbs, because I'm so stimulated from the testosterone. Okay, and that begins about 45 minutes to an hour later, and that remains for about until hour 3 or something, from my experience. And that is uncomfortable. Okay, but that's part of the reason why it works, because then, when I'm in the gym and I feel like that, I'm feeling a bit agitated, and also just a bit more I need to get the bug out. I feel like if you really needed to sneeze, but you couldn't, and no matter how hard you tried, you couldn't get yourself to sneeze, you know how you'd feel this basically bugs were crawling under your skin if that was happening to you? That's basically the way that I feel when I'm talking about this stimulation. That's basically how it feels to me from the testosterone suspension. And so what do you do, when you feel that way? You would feel jumping around and whatever, right? And so you're in the gym, right? And that's what I mean by it helped me to maintain that moderate intensity for a really extended period of time, good for volume workout, because, you know, I just felt like no matter what I did, no matter how many sets I did, I couldn't get this like itch like out of my body, just to like, I don't mean itchy skin, but I'm trying to just use the word itch to describe it. This just feeling of restlessness and trying to get it out, but, you know, nothing I could do would get it out. So, you know, you're working for a long time because you're like, well, I'm not just gonna go sit down. It's pretty cool. It's pretty good stuff. It's really interesting when you see like the basis for what the hormone does. It definitely increases sex drive. The test suspension, I would say uncomfortably so. So I wouldn't really use it for that. And just because I don't really like being so like you know, androgenically stimulated, that you know, when you are getting like a little bit of a shaking or whatever in your limbs, I don't really wouldn't want to use that anytime other than when I was at the gym, you know. So yeah, it does increase your sex drive though, and also it has a pretty high aromatizing effect. There's quite a bit of estrogen conversion, so because it hits really quick, so that you need a Arimidex or something. I used a Arimidex, and that took care of the estrogen for me. But let me think if there was anything else. No. Okay. Yeah, I was wondering about the gauge of what gauge I would have to use, right? Because I was worried because the crystal in the water, you know, is known to not pass through and clog the needle, right? And so I found a testosterone suspension that was micronized. So the crystals were actually micronized. You know, like micronized creatine, where it's easier to dissolve, and it can dissolve like on a, I guess there can be more solvent and less, there can be more solute and less solvent. And so the brand that I used was called Magnum Pharmaceuticals, and it was micronized testosterone suspension, which is just pure testosterone. And basically, sometimes I would have to heat the bottom of the ampule up to get the actual testosterone to dissolve in the water. And so I would just put like a little bit of water like in the microwave and get it hot, and then put the bottom of the ampule inside. I would just dip it in the water, and then the crystals would dissolve and disperse throughout the water. And then it was able to take up through and pass through a normal insulin syringe. So it worked really well without needing to be using a big, huge needle to stick into you, which is great because no one likes to do that. And the other thing was that it leaves like a irritation at the injection site. And it basically left irritation at the injection site every time. And the reason for this was because of the crystals in the water dispersing. But so pretty much if I took it, the next day I was guaranteed to have a like red mark where the injection site was. And you know, it'd probably be a little bit raised or like a little bit warm. It would not be an infection, it would go away the next day after that. And this was consistently, like every time. So it's just like the irritation from the crystals underneath the skin dispersing around, and there's a bit of a little local inflammation reaction from that. Some people actually use testosterone suspension as side enhancement because of that quality that it has. It's causing inflammation in different areas. And then the other thing was that I get test flu every single time after I take it. I mean, you know, for everything that goes up, there must be something that comes down, and so you can't really expect that that's not going to happen, because every time I would take it 100 milligrams the next day when I'd wake up, I'd basically feel like I had the flu, you know, and that sucked, and that was a deterrent from taking it. But I mean, it's mostly a novelty. I would say that this one, testosterone suspension, is mostly a novelty. And then, especially like if you were like on a diet, or if you you know, were needing to do high volume workouts, this could be something that could help you. I would say it's a little bit too intense for me though at 100 milligrams. It just feels like too much, and I feel too jittery, and I feel too stimulated, and too, like, my awareness is just way too high, and I don't feel comfortable. So 50 milligrams, if I use it, is a good dosage for me. And yeah, that's my experiences with testosterone suspension. Alright guys, this has been Dan from bodybuilderinthailand.com. Visit bodybuilderinthailand.com.